Welcome to Critical DMG, a podcast about two best friends who might have grown up but never grew out of their love for the Game Boy. We will be playing and reviewing every North American title released on Nintendo's original handheld console. This is episode 55. I'm Tony, and I don't think I've ever missed my TI-84 more than now.
Okay. I'm Jeff, and today we are talking about Serpent. I was thinking more of my old Nokia brick phone, but
Yeah.
the TI-84 checks out as well. With that, what is your immediate opinion on this game? Should someone play Serpent in their Game Boy?
Phew. No, I don't think so. I'm going to have probably a pretty heavy asterisk because I do have maybe a little bit to say about it, but no.
I think I'm also a no. I was a little bit on the fence on this one, but I think I am also a no. Before we dive into all of our thoughts on all of those fun things, can you give us the back of the box?
I can. Serpent. Welcome to the land of Serpent competitions. In the distant future, the most popular one-on-one sport is Serpent.
Serpent.
The players leap into their vehicles and take to the field. The tension mounts, then the race is on. Play against the computer or challenge another player via the Game Boy Video Link cable. To win, you must cut off the other player and surround them with your tail. The pulse-pounding action never stops. Are you up to the test of the Serpent competition? Another short one, but I think for as pretty minimal as things are here, it gets the point across.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I don't know that you would ever get sport out of what's happening in the game here, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, they say Serpent a lot. Fine. Serpent was released in November of 1990 by Taxon here in the US, Naxit in Japan.
I love that.
I don't think they are remotely related.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
I had to look because I was very curious about that. I was like, certainly that can't be just a coincidence, and it's not. They are both like under the same, I believe it's Kaga Electronics Corp. Sorry, I apologize if I am misremembering that, but I believe one is the Japanese branch, one is the US branch, essentially of the same company.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I quickly looked into it and didn't see a direct tie.
It's because one of them changed names, I believe.
That makes sense. Aside from that little kind of fun naming of the publisher, I don't have a whole lot for the background of this. Is there anything you have, or do you want to just jump into the mechanics?
I will say, I had a really hard time kind of finding the who's who of publishers and developers that were involved with this game, especially with the Taxon, Naxat, Kaga Electronics. Dual Corp is who developed the game, even though it was Taxon who published it here in the US, but like they also were known as under another name, and it's just very difficult to track these things over time from these older companies because there's a lot of renaming and restructuring, and it just really was very obvious here for this one. I don't think I have anything else in the background, just that was kind of a frustrating little quirk, I guess, of looking things up for this one this time.
Yeah, I agree. With that, let's go ahead and start talking about Serpent.
Let's do.
So, Serpent is an action game? It's Snake. I think at the end of last episode, we mentioned that it might be Snake, and it is, in fact, Snake.
I'm going to split that hair later on, but for now, I will agree with you.
All right, fair enough. The goal is to defeat your enemy in a best of 13. So the first person to get to 7 wins is the winner of the match. So it's kind of Battle Snake.
They should have called it Battle Snake. That's definitely a better name.
Controls kind of suck.
Ugh.
Left will turn your Serpent left. A will turn them right, and then B will shoot a missile if you have one. So if you're going up on the screen and you hit left on the D-pad, you will turn left. If you're going down on the screen and you hit left, you will turn right. So you will now be going right.
Yeah.
it's always in reference to the Serpent and, which way you're heading. So it does kind of make sense. But at the same time, did not enjoy that. Not getting too deep into that right this second. Tony, how was your gameplay? Did you end up beating your opponent? Did you get all of the 5 different endings? What was your Serpent gameplay like?
I did beat it. I don't remember if I beat it twice or if I just beat it once and then I started goofing off afterward. I do not want to undersell just how jarring the control scheme was here when I first started playing. I thought I was doing something wrong or like my D-pad on my Game Boy was malfunctioning or something because I assumed moving the snake was done with the D-pad, whether that meant left and right were doing what left and A are doing on the current control scheme, or whether it meant moving the snake up, down, left, right with the corresponding arrows. And when that's not the case, I was totally lost, to be completely honest with you. And I was just kind of going in circles and not really sure what I was doing. And then I hit the face buttons and realized that it was kind of like pinball flippers in a way, like how you're controlling the snake.
Yeah.
So I got it a little bit afterward. And like I said, I did win, but wow, it was a real shock to the system when I first started playing, that's for sure.
You weren't an omni-turner there for a while. You could only turn left.
Pretty much. I think I essentially immediately boxed myself in and died.
Checks out. So we mentioned our old calculators, our old phones. Those had the 4-directional controls that I think both of us kind of really wished this game did, where if you pushed left, you would turn left, regardless of if you were moving up, down, whatever. It just made more sense. I had the same thing where, I turned left because that one is kind of intuitive, and then I couldn't figure out how to turn again. So I had a little bit of that same learning curve of what are these buttons actually doing? Snake is a pretty, ubiquitous game. I think a lot of people have played some variation of it.
Oh, sure.
And I think a lot of them use up, down, left, right in the way that you would expect, moving up, down, left, right. So the controls, to me, really were the worst part of this game. I will say, as you played it more, at least I got relatively comfortable with them.
Yeah.
I died a non-zero number of times due to the controls.
Me too.
But as I played more, they did feel better. I just can't fathom why that was the control scheme that they decided to use, though, for this game.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say they were concerned that if they attached the movement to the left and right on the D-pad, there was a possibility that because of how the D-pad is structured, you might accidentally hit left when you're trying to hit right. So having them be far enough away from each other that that's not a possibility anymore. I can understand the logic there.
Yeah.
From a game development perspective. I don't even know that it's necessarily a bad idea, mechanically speaking. I don't know that there's a whole lot more you could do better if the idea is to keep the movement options separate enough from each other that you don't have to worry about missed inputs or anything. What else are you going to do? Put them on A and B and then make the D-pad for shooting the missiles or something? So, I can understand why they would do it that way. That doesn't mean that it feels good here. And I think the reason that we're talking about it on a calculator and a really old mobile phone is because on those versions, and this is probably going to sound absolutely bonkers considering that I'm already talking about a game on the Game Boy, which has a very small screen and limited color palette. But the one on the phone and on the calculator are even smaller and less colorful. You are holding it on a device that is even closer to your hands. And so you're just pushing these little buttons and the snake feels more responsive in that way because everything is packaged to be simpler.
Mm-hmm.
Here on the Game Boy, it just doesn't feel as good. It almost feels like you're playing one of those water toys where like you push the buttons to make the water like jet up and put the rings on the hoops. It feels like you're holding on to one of those because, and this is probably just me being bad and getting a little flustered, losing track of the right way to turn my snake, but it felt like I was just pushing the wrong thing all the time, and I would turn myself into a corner and, I boxed myself in. Well, there's nothing I can do about that. Or I would turn myself into the opponent coming around the corner and, well, there's nothing I can do about that. So, like, it just felt bad here. And I don't think it was intended. Maybe the control scheme here is just particularly dated and I'm brushing up against it in a bad way.
Bringing up the water toys is a insane take. I had not thought of those in a decade or more. I feel like I had a very similar experience where, especially at the beginning, like I said, I died multiple times because I feel like I just pushed the wrong button, not I did the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do think I got better at it. So I do think once you've played it more and more, you do get a little bit cleaner with that.
Yeah.
But we've spent a good amount of time talking about the controls, and I think warranted because I think that is the biggest issue with this game.
It's really all there is here.
Yeah.
That's another part of the biggest letdown is that there really isn't a whole lot here. There's not a whole lot of meat here.
Yeah. And the whole goal is to defeat the enemy. So it's not like normal Snake, where if you run into your tail or if you run into a wall, you immediately die. You do have a little bit of, I guess, leeway a lot of the time. If you run into your own tail, you run into the opponent, you run into a wall, it'll essentially start a countdown, and you have a certain amount of time to either fix it or have to wait until you actually explode and, lose that life. Same thing with your opponent. They have a little bit of time that they have to wait until they explode and you win the round. That does offer a little bit of, in my opinion, kind of interesting gameplay where sometimes your tail is what is holding the enemy in place. And so you have to purposefully run into a wall or stop moving so you can make them continue to be trapped. I found that to be kind of interesting and a kind of fun experience of when do I need to purposefully stop myself from moving? When do I need to make sure my opponent traps themselves? Things like that. A little bit different than a lot of the Snake variances that I'm aware of or have played in the past, where if you hit something, you immediately lose a life. A little bit different here.
Yeah, I have some things to say about that in the quiz. Ho, ho, ho. Also, it kind of turns some moments of the game into, like, chicken. You pin yourself in order to pin the opponent, and you're waiting for them to run their clock out, but you also are having your own clock ran out, so you have to kind of wiggle just a little bit because you don't want to move your tail and let them free, but you also don't want to die before they die. So that's a little interesting. I do like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you played on any of the higher difficulties or the alternate modes.
So there are 2 different game modes, A and B, and then there are 4 levels in each game mode. Game mode 1 is normal. Game mode 2, there are little snakes that kind of go around the arena, and if they hit your head, they will destroy, I guess, your Serpent.
Yep.
Each one has 4 levels. Level 1, slow, no reversing. Level 2, fast, no reversing. Level 3, slow, reversing. Level 4, fast, reversing. So
on those higher difficulties, or I think in the 2-player mode on certain difficulties, you can only really win by trapping the opponent, because if they mess up, they can just kind of like back out.
The reversing, if you're playing 1 player, you don't get to reverse. Only the CPU can.
Right.
And if you're playing 2 player, both of you can reverse. So you can hook up our good old Game Link cable that we haven't seen much lately or haven't talked about much lately.
Yeah, I've been slacking.
If you have a Game Link, you can hook that up. You can play 2 player, which I think this game would shine a lot in 2 player. I think that could be a lot of fun.
I think so.
if you're playing 2-player, levels 3 and level 4, you can reverse, and essentially it's exactly what it sounds. You take your head from where it is and put it on your tail and start moving that way.
See, and part of the reason that I think this game feels so hollow to me, and again, this could just be having a modern lens on an older game and keeping everything in perspective, but like nowadays, those kinds of things, like the ability to reverse or speed variations or difficulties, would just kind of already be baked into the game in other ways, and it wouldn't be like a selling point like it is here. It's like, whoa, alternate game modes, but the alternate game mode is just like, go faster, which you can already do with the missiles that you can get. You can like shoot them and go faster. So like,
they have the power-ups, which we haven't really talked about. Some of them make you move faster. Some of them make you longer. Some of them make you shorter.
Yeah.
The missiles that you can pick up, if you hit your opponent, will make them move faster or slower. I do find it interesting that I feel like all of the power-ups went both ways. It wasn't like objectively correct to pick up one or to use one. I feel like it really kind of depended on the situation. If you were about to be trapped by your own snake, you could pick up a power-up that made you shorter. Generally, you want it to be longer so you could potentially trap your opponent better.
There's little things here that in a newer game would kind of all already be wrapped up together into one of the systems, whereas here they're all like picked apart and extrapolated into, well, this one makes you go faster, well, this one makes you go slower, but you can go in reverse. Well, if you're playing with 2 players, you can't go faster here. Like, it's just a lot of fluff. It doesn't make the game feel that much different. You could honestly just pick whichever one of those game settings that you like best and not really bother with the rest of them.
Yeah, I agree with that. You could just have a power-up that makes you faster. You could just have a power-up that allows you to reverse or those sorts of things. So having all these different modes, having the different levels and the different, I'm going to say difficulties, even though that's not what they were, seemed a little redundant when you already had power-ups that could probably fill that same role.
Right. I'm going to save the rest of what I have to say for the wrap-up, because I think that I'm getting a little farther off of the mechanics and into just like generalized problems or things I wish the game had done. So I'll keep a lid on that until later. I don't think I have anything else to say about the mechanics.
The only thing I have left to say, and this could probably go in the creative discussion as well, but apparently there are 5 different endings. Personally, I only got one of them, which I think is like the basic ending.
That's definitely getting into creative, because I do have kind of a lot to say about some of the aesthetics things of what would otherwise be a probably fairly unimpressive game.
All right, so I think it's time for a quick ad break, and then we'll come back to the creative discussion.
Ad break.
Dang it!
What's up, sport?
This game is too hard.
Aw, don't let it get you down. Why not take a break and listen to the Critical DMG podcast?
How would that help me?
It won't.
Then why would I listen to a show about 2 old people talking about Game Boy games for an hour?
Hey!
I think I'll just go back to Minecraft.
In a world not too unlike our own, there are creatures known as pups, doll-like beings brought to life through magic. These pups used to live a life of peace and harmony in their forests and towns. This was shattered when the evil king Hocus Pocus arrived and began to use mysterious powers to control the poor pups, turning them into an army bent on world domination. As one of the only remaining pup knights with your own free will, it falls to you to take up sword and shield in defense of the once bustling city of Pup Town. Fight your way through stage after stage of enemies, taking them down in back and forth turn-based combat, gaining experience and coins as you go. Keep yourself upgraded and well fed back at the tavern and other still inhabited places around the town square. The more of the enemy's army you're able to clear out from around Pup Town, the more its inhabitants will make themselves known to you, maybe even helping you continue to grow stronger and better able to put an end to the evil king's reign of terror once and for all. So get going. There's an adorable cast of sprightly furries that needs your help. Will you be the savior of Pup Town? Pup Panic by Unicorp Entertainment is available now on itch.io for all Game Boy systems and emulators. And we're back. I think the music was pretty good here, actually. Definitely more of a vibe than I thought was going to be, for something that seemed like overall fairly lackluster in the aesthetics department.
Yeah, I thought the music was good. I wouldn't say it was like amazing or like completely stand out, but I thought it was good. I thought they did a decent job with the sound effect when you are like about to die or when your opponent is about to die.
Mm-hmm.
They do kind of make it a bit faster, and I don't want to say hectic, but maybe a little bit of that feeling of when Sonic is about to drown.
Of course, yeah.
That sort of like vibe.
The old standard.
Exactly. But they do it in a way that didn't feel super bad. It didn't feel super annoying or anything like that. So I think relatively good job there.
I initially had a hard time with the music and sound. I'm not really sure why. I think at first blush, it's a little bit off-putting. Like some of the sounds, some of the notes in the music are a little weird. I don't know that I would say that they're off or like hard to listen to or something. Like they don't strike your ear in a really bad way. They're just kind of odd choices. I think a lot of the music here is just kind of like, just weird. Not that it doesn't necessarily fit like a lot of the music that we've had in previous games, especially recently, but it's just like, kind of oddball. And it grew on me after a while. I wouldn't say it was great or anything, but I definitely enjoyed it more than I did when I first started. And that hasn't really happened too often. Usually if I don't like the music out of a game, that just kind of solidifies as it goes on how much I don't want to listen to it anymore.
Yeah.
But this one actually grew on me, which was interesting.
I really liked the title screen with the little dude that like kind of plods over, cute. Gets into the Serpent.
Definitely makes the game look a lot cuter than what they're trying to make it seem from all of the like thematic trappings.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that title screen goes such a long way to add character to this game.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, most of it, you're playing Snake. It's not that detailed.
They do try to make the fact that you're playing Snake look a little bit more bespoke by giving the snakes, whatever, like that you're playing with, like different heads and the way that they, their body segments look and how they do the arena up and stuff like that. So they tried a little bit, but it doesn't go far enough.
Yeah. I think the in-between screens, when you win or when you lose, you see kind of like a little cobra head.
God, they cracked me up. I laughed out loud the first time that I died, and it was like, you have lost the war. I am not even kidding. I laughed so loud, my 10-year-old had to come and find out what I was laughing at. It was so wild.
Yeah, it's very funny. One, like you said, the text that they use.
It's just all caps.
Yeah, they make this what is allegedly, a game that you're playing.
A sports game. It's a game about a sport.
And then you have this little sprite of a cobra head crying, and it's just so good. Those in between times, the title screen, the in between each match, they could have made those very bland, and I really enjoyed that they didn't, because it does add so much character to this game that otherwise would be just really boring as far as the aesthetics are concerned.
I wish they had kept it up, though. That's what the problem is that they didn't keep it going. Like, there's such a split between the game as presented and the game that they want you to think you're playing, I guess. And I don't know if that is because it was originally something else in the original Japanese version. I actually did not look up the manual for the original Japanese one to read if it was still like a sports competition or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But here, on the one hand, they want it to be, oh, it's a sport. It's a sport competition. Everyone's new favorite sport, Serpent. But on the other hand, when you lose or win, it's all about a war. Oh, I have lost the war. Oh, I've won the war. The cobras, the whatever. And they don't like mesh. And so you've got this cutesy side of the game and then this war side of the game. And neither of them are done to enough of an extreme that it feels cohesive or looks appealing to any degree. I would want to see more of the cute stuff. Like, you know, if they're going to have these wiggly little serpents flying around on some of the modes that'll blow you up if they latch onto your face. And they're going to have, you know, your little serpent head icon, like crying big crocodile tears in these cutscenes. They should have just gone all in on that. They should have just gone all in on, yeah, it's just some goofy game like Penguin Wars, something like that, where they just went entirely all their chips in on this is goofy and we want it to be silly, whatever. And because they don't, it's just weird. Like it feels
disjointed for sure.
Yeah, it feels too disjointed. That is a great word for it.
So I think going into that a bit more, there are multiple endings. Did you see all 5 different endings or?
No, I never got a perfect game.
Okay.
I only got the like normal ending. If you win, but you don't get a perfect win. I only got that. I don't think I ever got a game over, even like on purpose trying, just because you have to lose so many for it to happen to like balance it out.
Yeah.
So I didn't see the best ending or the worst ending, I guess.
Fair enough. I think same for me. I did look up the other endings, at least some of them that I could find. So I also did not get a perfect score. The basic ending, you have, I don't know, just like the snake heads kind of like rotating around. It says Alpha Force rules, which again is kind of one of those things that like,
oh my gosh,
doesn't really make sense, but it's cute. And you have like these snakes that are like happy, like these cobra heads. And I liked it. I laughed when I saw it. So happy enough. The perfect endings, if you beat your opponent 7 times without losing at all, you get a different ending. And it seems like it's different if you do it on level 1 versus level 4.
Sure.
Level 1 was just like an eyeball, or like think maybe like an anime eye with hearts around it. And I guess it was winking at you. Level 4 like zoomed out on that. So anime-esque girl with hearts around her who is maybe blowing you a kiss. Honestly, I don't...
I'm going to have to look these up. I did not look these up previously, and I'm going to have to look into this now. What?
I almost sent you the video before recording.
You'll have to send it to me now. You'll have to send it to me after the show's over now.
Unclear why that is the case at all. You know, like, why is there this random person now who is not introduced in any way, shape, or form? But
I mean, it like we've had games where it's just like ringside girls or whatever else. It's the sports thing. It's supposed to be a sports competition, so that you've got to have a girl that you're winning for getting the perfectest best score on the hardest competition.
Yeah, it sounds so bad, but I guess product of the time. With that, I don't have anything else for the aesthetics. I agree with you that it was very hit or miss, in my opinion. Some of the things were great. Some of them just didn't seem to fit. Yeah, I guess that's kind of like my final thought on the aesthetics.
I do think that the pickups, I wish that they were more distinct. I know that they're trying to keep them very language independent. You're supposed to be able to tell what they are at a glance.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that they went about that here is if it's a positive pickup, then it's a dark icon on a light background. And if it's a negative pickup, then it's a light icon on a dark background.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's something that will increase your size by 2, then it's a black 2 on a white square. And if it's going to take 2 pieces away from you, then it's a white 2 on a black square.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very utilitarian to do that. Like, I can see very bare bones. You want them to be as close to each other as possible so that you can see, like, yes, this Negaverse version of this other power-up must mean something bad. But that's not really the case. Like Jeff said, you kind of want to be shorter sometimes versus longer. And I think that they could have done something to make them a little bit more distinct. Like, instead of just being letters and numbers, they made these little missiles, for the missile pickups.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done something else because it really makes it feel like bloat. Like, the power-ups are just there, and most of the time I wasn't really even aware of what they were when I was picking them up because they kind of all look the same. Like, it's just, you can have a bundle of numbers and letters just like sitting next to each other sometimes because of how you go about picking them up. And so I would just grab them all, not even really thinking about it because they all kind of looked like the same thing anyway. So it would have been maybe nicer if they had less of them and changed them to be like, oh, if this maximum power up makes you maximum size, it's, whatever, like a heart or a muscle, it doesn't really matter, but just something more distinct than that. And I think that leads to my wrap up. I don't have anything else to say. Do you?
No, I think that's a great way to get into the wrap up.
Ultimately, this was a very lumpy, uneven package overall. There were things that I liked, especially in the presentation, the way that they played on this like cute future sports angle, but they didn't push hard enough to make that stand out, and they intermixed it with this war that they don't really ever explain or give a whole lot of detail about, and so it felt really disjointed and weird. And unfortunately, the mechanics kind of also feel that way. Lumpy, uneven, they don't feel good to use, and one of the things that I think would have made a difference in like how I felt about the game overall was if they introduced alternate levels. You have to do so many matches to win the game. What if instead of the difficulty or the speed, whatever they want to call it, being one of the only things that change from mode to mode or from level to level, what if they introduced new arenas that had a different layout? So it wasn't just open whatever the entire time. Like, even just that, I think, would have added a little bit more of a mechanical, like, variety. Ultimately, at the end of the day, when I played the game and I started to feel like I was getting better at the controls, I would pretty much just, like, do donuts or, like, make lattice patterns or whatever, because it didn't feel like anything. I wanted the game to progress, and it just wasn't giving me that.
Yeah, I would say I don't think I bounced off the controls quite as badly as you, even though I do think they were kind of bad.
That's fair.
However, I kind of said I was maybe a little bit on the fence or something like that.
Sure.
Once I figured out the controls and I wasn't just losing lives because of control issues, I had a decent amount of fun with the game. My issue was that it very quickly felt repetitive and like I had seen everything there was to see.
Right.
Obviously, I didn't get a perfect win, so I guess maybe that is something to strive for. Regardless, it just, I guess, coming off Snake, which is what it is replicating, Snake is very repetitive. It just didn't feel quite as good or quite as rewarding, in my opinion, as some of those games. So it's one of those games I could see potentially throwing in my Game Boy every once in a while, playing for like 5-10 minutes, being like, oh, right, this is this is still what it is, and then being done with it. So ultimately, I don't think I can recommend it because I do think it gets repetitive so quickly. And then, of course, all of the creative stuff that you've mentioned and we talked about there.
It's just lackluster. I don't hate it. It's not the worst thing that we've played so far. And like we've said about a bunch of these, I could see a lot of people liking this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not one that I would gravitate toward myself, but it wouldn't be like pulling teeth to get me to play it again.
I did go back multiple times and play it, which is usually not super common for me in the show.
Yeah.
So I guess that says something. But again, it's one of those, I would play it for 5 minutes and then kind of be done. So
sure, and I don't think that makes a strong enough opinion to recommend it to somebody. Out of 55 games that we've played, I don't feel a strong enough positive pull on this game to be like, yeah, I think other people should play this one. I don't. I think that there would be other versions of this kind of game that you could play, that even if you really wanted to play something like Snake on the Game Boy, I don't think this does enough to be worth that.
Exactly. And there's a huge difference between playing Snake on your phone or on your calculator in math class or whatever, that if you're specifically on a gaming console, there are just better options.
All right, well,
with that
means it's quiz time.
Exactly. Something that hopefully is above average for me. Currently sitting at 82.7% on my quiz. Need a perfect score to really increase that much, but let's see how my Snake knowledge is.
Oh, yeah. I will let you know there are no questions about actual snakes.
Dang it.
Yeah. Dang. Actually, I should have gone that route. I didn't even think about that. I will be completely honest with you. I did not even think to look up anything about actual serpents. So
that's
there you go.
Probably beneficial.
There's your hint right out of the gate.
Yeah, my serpent knowledge is probably subpar, so maybe that's good.
Okay, well, time to test your serpent knowledge. Serpent quiz. Question 1. As a language person, I couldn't help but do a little digging into the original Japanese name for this game, Kakomunja. Being made up of two connected parts, Kakumu and Ja, both have separate meanings that are put together here to make the title of the game into something like a new compound idea. Ja, in this case, is pretty simple. I'll just give you that part. The Ja here is snake, usually referring to a particularly large snake or even a serpent. But that first part, Kakumu, is a verb. What does it mean? A. To encircle or surround. B. To lay siege to. C. To play, as in Go or Shogi. Or D. It actually means all of these.
Oh, why did you have to put that D in there? I'm going with D. I can't help myself. I'm going with D. All of the above is always something that I quite like. So I'm going with D.
I wonder statistically how many times, because I definitely don't keep track, but I wonder statistically how many times I have put D being all of the above, and that is the right answer, because it is the right answer. It was D.
Let's go.
I would like to know. I wonder.
I have a feeling, but I'm not going to tell you because I don't want you to change your tactics, so.
I probably wouldn't anyway, because it's just easier that way. While I think some of these word forms get the point across a little bit better than others, I still think the idea is fairly similar throughout. Putting the two words together, Kakumu and Ja, give us something along the lines of like giant encircling snake. If you can take my always rough translation for what it's worth. I'd say that that's just about as accurate as you need to get, although they could have maybe thrown something mechanical or like futuristic in there too, but like, yep, that's what this game is about, I guess.
Fair enough. And yeah, I don't know really anything about Japanese, but I do know a lot of their words are kind of like fluid and contextual. So A lot of things can mean a lot of different things. So,
Right.
aside from my love of all of the above answers, I feel like that was interesting.
Question 2. Despite being named Serpent, and compared most directly as a Snake clone for its time, the style of game that Serpent here on the Game Boy more closely resembles is one of a game called Blockade. An arcade game released in 1976, the core gameplay is about maneuvering your snake around an arena at the same time as another player, just like what we played. Snake, the more single-player game about eating food to grow longer, didn't come around until Snakebite, which was released for the Apple II computer in 1982. However, one version of Snake that many people listening might be familiar with is so famous, it was acquired by the Museum of Modern Art for their video game exhibition. Please fill in the blank about which version that was. The version of Snake acquired by the MoMA is the one I used to have on my blank 3210 cell phone.
It has to be Nokia, right? I don't know if Nokia.
Yeah, it is
3210
Nokia.
is. Okay, fair. I was like, we all had Nokias once upon a time, so.
Sure, yeah. When you started talking about it, I was like, oh no. But yeah, it's the Nokia 3210, which was the model cell phone that came out in 1999 and was prepackaged with 3 games already installed on it: Rotation, Memory, and Snake, which undoubtedly helped capture a much younger market of cell phone users. And while it's not the version with the most bells and whistles, its simplicity and ubiquity made it stand out to the Museum of Modern Art enough to include it with other games in their Never Alone Video Games and Other Interactive Design exhibition. For anyone curious, some of those other games included throughout the years have been an original Pac-Man arcade cabinet, Katamari Damacy, The Sims, and Cannabalt.
I wish I knew what Nokia phone I had, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
It did have Snake on it.
Yeah, that was the thing I had to look up too, because I remember Snake being on basically all of those phones, and so I had to remember which one was the earliest one, because that's the one that they had taken for the MoMA, so.
Anyway, 2 for 2. Doing quite well.
All right. Time for the last question. Question 3. I tried to find something magazine related for this quiz because I feel like I haven't included anything from pages past in any of our recent questions. Unfortunately, the issue of Nintendo Power that includes their little write-up on Serpent has nothing at all to say that we haven't already said. It is also extremely short. Instead, I'm turning back to the beginning of Nintendo Power issue 16 to ask, is it true or false that there is a small section after the mailbag and spotlight sections called Yoshi's Personal Letterbox that offers a short Q&A hosted by Yoshi, where answers to mailed-in questions are responded to with noisy gibberish?
I just want that to be true, so I'm going with true.
Yeah, I'm sure you want it to be true, but is it true?
Oh, I feel like realistically, there's no way that is true.
And I also haven't asked a true or false question that's been false in a long time.
So I know the answer is false. At this point, I've reasoned with myself, and I know, also taking your hints, that it is false, but do I want to stick to my initial dream? No, we'll get the question right, so I'm going to go with false on this one.
Yeah. Regrettably, it is false. The section is actually called Mario's Question Corner, and it's hosted by Mario, not Yoshi. Questions are asked of him, and they get answered, quote-unquote, by him, for everyone to read. Burning questions for Mario this issue are: why did Mario change his suspenders? How did Mario and Luigi become plumbers? And why is Mario's nose bigger than it used to be?
Burning questions.
Right, and my favorite answer to these burning questions is that Mario needed to change his suspenders because, quote, growing a tail in Super Mario Bros. 3 required a new set of pants, suspenders included.
Obviously.
Right, of course. The other answers were that they became plumbers through hard work.
No. Yeah. Good for them.
And I don't remember why his nose is bigger than it used to be. Unfortunately, you'll have to look Nintendo Power issue 16 up for yourself, I guess.
Fair enough. 3 for 3. Can't complain with that.
Yippee!
So I'm now at an even 83%. So
nice.
Very slightly better than we started. And that's all I can ask for.
Sure.
I can ask, however, what our listener question from last week was.
And I can tell you. Our listener question from last time was about how, even though the characters in the original arcade game that Ninja Boy was based on were named after Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, unfortunately, only Jackie Chan was around making movies in the 1990s. And so I had asked about one of the movies that he had been involved in, because at that time, he wasn't acting in as many movies as he was doing other film roles. The only movie that he acted in 1990 was a Taiwanese Hong Kong co-production where Jackie Chan plays a prisoner, and I wanted to know if you knew the title, Jeff. I didn't know. There's no way.
There's, yeah, absolutely no idea. Which I actually found it funny when you asked this question. I had just listened to a podcast that was talking about Jackie Chan.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, oh yeah, he started his career as a stuntman and, you know, these different things. And then you asked for a title and I was like, okay, never mind. All of my knowledge is not worthwhile. But what is the name of that film?
Okay. And I'm going to give this my best shot. I wrote it down phonetically because I want to try really hard to get my pronunciations right. So the film is called Hu Shao Da, which is Island of Fire. It was released in 1990, and the movie's letterboxd synopsis that I found read that it is about someone in a prison run by a corrupt warden and fakes the deaths of convicts to later use them as expendable assassins. A police officer is sent into the prison to gather evidence of the corruption. This prison thriller is 100% not my type of movie, but maybe some of our audience has seen it and has thoughts on it.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's our listener question for this week?
Okay, listener question for Serpent. The game we played today was published by Taxan and developed by a company called Dual Corporation. Dual Corporation was originally known as Klon, K-L-O-N. They were around for quite a while, making games from the late 80s until the early 2000s, ultimately going bankrupt in 2007. While we will be seeing some more games from them on the show, that's almost never what I actually want to talk about, is it? Instead, it's a deep cut from their later catalog, something only available on the PlayStation in Japan. What game did Dual Corporation make and release for the original PlayStation that was based on a famous quantum thought experiment? Jeff.
Super Mario 64.
No. Nope. Sorry. Sad to say.
I have no idea. So join us next week and find out what thought experiment we're talking about, or Tony is talking about.
You could even say that until the episode comes out, the listeners will neither know or not know what the answer to the question is.
We love cats here, though, so don't worry.
Don't give too much away now.
Thanks for listening to Critical DMG. If you would like to support us further, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/criticaldmgpod. Join us there for monthly newsletters and extra content. Otherwise, please leave a review wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe recommend us to your friends or anyone else you might think that would like the show. It really helps us out, and we appreciate it. Anyway, I think that brings us to the end of our first Snake game with Serpent. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Join us next week when we talk about Side Pocket. I have no idea what this could even be.
I can tell you. I already know. Do you want me to tell you?
No.
Okay, I won't then. I won't say anything about it because I already know exactly what it is.
Fair enough. Yeah, join us next week when I find out and all of you find out as well what Side Pocket is.
I had completely forgotten, and I am very curious to know what you're going to have to say about this, because I don't really know what your feelings about this particular subject are.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out.
Mystery. Until then, everybody. Bye.
Goodbye.